Well, good afternoon. I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News coming to you from our digital desk. We've got some breaking news we want to bring to you. We've gotten initial reports about a 16-year-old who has fallen through the ice whilst ice skating on a pond. It is that time of year, and yes, we have had several below freezing days in a row now, and ice is forming, but this can be the danger of not understanding how thick the ice is, or if there are weak spots or cracks. This all happened around 10:40 this morning in an area just outside of Marshallsville, Ohio. The North Lawrence Fire Department responded to this. I'm going to bring up this map. If you see, we have Akron here, downtown Akron, and we're going to go just to the south and west where we have this bullet point. It's kind of halfway maybe between Marshallville there on the left side of your screen. Here's Marshallville and here's Canal Fulton, and it's this rural property right here. And we believe, and we're going to wait for confirmation, we can see there is a pond on this property. This is the address that we've been given. A 16-year-old ice skating fell through the ice. There was another child who witnessed the 16-year-old go under the water and under the ice, went in, alerted family. That's when authorities were called out to this property on Fulton Road. Again, this is outside of the rural community of Marshallsville. The authorities, when they arrived, that child, the 16-year-old, had to be rescued from under the ice and under the water. We're not sure exactly yet how long he had been under, but we do know that once the body was recovered, or the child was recovered by the dive team, they did instantly start CPR, and CPR was continued all the way through, taking that teenager to the Altman Hospital in Orrville is where they took that child. We don't know the current condition of that child. We do know that no one else was involved. No one else fell through the ice. It was just the 16-year-old who was ice skating. And again, we do see a pond on this property. We're not exactly sure if that is in fact. I started zooming out and I wanted to look around the area if there are other ponds. We can see another property over here. This looks like maybe that might be a quarry. So we're just not exactly sure, but we know this is the address that authorities were called to on Fulton Road for a 16-year-old who had fallen through the ice while ice skating. And remained under the water and under the ice for at least some time. Again, there was another child who witnessed it, went in, got family members. Family members called authorities, and that 16-year-old actually had to be rescued by a dive team that went into that water. So you have to think that because this is a rural location, because it takes time to get authorities there, to get dive teams up and ready, to get them into their equipment, that 16-year-old had to be under the water for quite some time. This wasn't just a neighborhood rescue. As we pull out here, you can see just how rural this is. Here is the community of Marshallville, and it is off of Fulton Road. As you get out into the country setting, at this property is the actual address that we were given by authorities. We do know that the North Lawrence Fire Department says they assisted. The Worcester Fire Department, the Marshallville Fire Department were all called to this location at just after 10:40 this morning, again for a 16-year-old who was ice skating and fell through the ice. It goes without saying that, yes, we have had multiple below freezing days. We have started to see the ice form on Lake Erie. But I know I speak for some authorities here that have already put out the word that you have to be extremely cautious. And here is perhaps our first warning, our first incident of the winter season of someone falling through the ice. And it happens to be a 16-year-old who was ice skating on a pond, what appears to be a rural pond near Marshallville, and is now in probably in bad shape. Let's just put it like that. Was under the water that had to be for an extended period of time. This was a rural area. Fortunately, another child saw that 16-year-old go under the water, immediately went and got family members. Family members then had to call authorities. It is rural. Authorities had to get to the property. Dive teams had to get there, get suited up and into the water, but did pull that 16-year-old from under the ice, started CPR. CPR was continued all the way to the hospital. He was taken to the Altman Hospital in the Orville location. And again, given CPR all the way throughout. Unfortunately, that's what we know at this point. We don't know a condition on that 16-year-old, much past being told he was given CPR all the way to the hospital. Okay, we do have a crew that's on scene and we'll see if we can get a picture up here shortly. Our Brittany Weir is on scene, and from what we're being told, this may be a situation of an Amish family that lives pretty rural out here, and it may be a 16-year-old Amish child that was ice skating on this property. What I'm going to do now with that in mind, and folks, this just comes as my experience from being a reporter in Northeast Ohio. There's power lines to this property, so I'm not going to give too much. As a reporter in Ohio, if you've covered enough stories, you've been here long enough as I have, you can tell an Amish property right away when you are driving out in the country. There's a couple of telltale factors. They keep I know this is a little arbitrary, but they keep their drapes in their front window in a certain way, and then obviously you wouldn't see power lines heading to that property, and we do see those here. So we're going to hold off on just exactly where that information is coming from as to if this involves an Amish family. Now there are probably, and we do see another pond here. So there are multiple ponds in this area. We're just going to have to wait and see just exactly which property is involved. I'm going to come back out of street view here because I want to see where that pond is. Yeah, there are. This is the property that we've been given. The address, the property that we've been given by authorities is this particular property right here that, yes, does have a pond on the property. But then as we were just on street view, you see there is a pond immediately across the street. So we'll have to wait and see just exactly which property is involved and which pond is involved. Let me take a look at this property here. Again, I'm just walking through this as a reporter, as somebody that I wanted to see this property with the pond again. And what I'm looking for here is power lines. So you can see there is power to this home. Now, just because we're hearing that this may have involved a 16-year-old Amish young man, doesn't necessarily mean it was on his property. Was this a pond? And again, I don't want to do too much about which pond it was. What we can do is we can simply tell you this property here, this farm, is the address that we've been given by authorities, that's where they were called out to. Now, is that where the call originated from? And is that who was calling for help? But we'll have to wait and see. And all I can tell you is just from our initial, using of Google Earth, we can find 2 ponds in very close proximity to this property itself. Again, this is the address we've been given by authorities. There is a pond sort of back behind these buildings. You see this horse trailer. Right behind these 2 outbuildings, there's a tiny pond there. I was trying to get a closer look. These look like either chicken or hog producing facilities as we look at that. And so I wouldn't think that there would be ice skating on the pond on this property, because it looks more like maybe a retention pond for these facilities. I'm not exactly sure that the water, you see these rather large barns here where animal livestock would be held. I'm not sure that this water would be albeit suited for, not that you need good water for ice skating once the ice forms, but just not sure that that's where you would ice skate. So we'll just have to wait and see. Again, there is another pond in very close proximity right across the street from the property that we've been told. I wanted to look around this area just a little bit more from an aerial view to see if there were any other bodies of water, any other ponds that, again, a child would have come from or run to get to get help. We see this one here off of this property. Does look like there was maybe a quarry. Not exactly sure you go ice skating in a quarry. That's dangerous. We do see now another, and again, this looks like this may be on the back side of what was that quarry. So there are numerous little bodies of water throughout this area. So we will check on that. Again, let's just reiterate, we have breaking news out of the Marshallville area. This is Wayne County. Just wanted to get that confirmed, that we are dealing with. Again, we've got a crew, I think, that just arrived on scene. We'll see if we can get some live pictures here. I'm going to monitor that as soon as we see our camera come up. I'm going to get to that, but again, I'm going to bring back up Google a map here as soon as my system wants to cooperate. In fact, I may have to switch here. We've got this breaking news. It happened just before 11 o'clock today. We're being told by authorities. It's on Fulton Road in Wayne County, and it's technically Marshallville. I'm going to have to bring up a new map here to show you the area. It is extremely rural, to say the least. There's even a bigger lake in the area that I wasn't seeing earlier. Just stand by with us for a second here. I want to get a map back up of that area. So we're going to use this map project here to come into that property and be able to use this just a little better. Let me get this. All right, so here we go. Again, sorry for the delay there as we get some technical things worked out here. This is, again, the property that authorities gave us. This is the address that we were given that authorities were called to, and we're talking multiple departments here. We've got the Marshallville Fire Department, Worcester Fire Department, involved in this. Again, it was a 16-year-old who was ice skating on a pond. While we do see a small body of water, just from my experience of covering stories not only here in Ohio but also back in Iowa, this is more, I'm not exactly sure this is a pond you skate on. This looks more like a retention pond for the livestock buildings that you see here. So the only other really close body of water I see is a small pond across the street. So we'll wait and get maybe confirmation from our reporter that's on the scene to find out exactly where is which one of the ponds. But let me just go through again, reset this if you're just joining us. We've been told that just at about 10:40 this morning, a 16-year-old was ice skating on a pond and fell through the ice. There was another child who was out there at the time. That child was able to go and get help, went to adults. Family was able to call 911, get authorities out there. But as I zoom out here, I want you to see just how rural this really is. And there's that Fox Lake. We'll get to that in a second. There is Marshallville, very small community in Wayne County. And we get out here on Fulton to the property that authorities were called to out here on Fulton. And this is where they were called to, not sure which body of water. There's two ponds that we can fit in the same screen, one across the street from where authorities were called to. But you need to keep in mind, how long would it have taken fire departments to get there? The child was still under the ice, the teenager still under the ice, still under the water. When authorities got there, it took a dive team to go into the pond and rescue the 16-year-old. CPR was started right away and continued all the way to taking that child to Altman Hospital, and that's in the Orville community of Orville. And that CPR was done throughout the transport, and we don't know the current condition of that teenager. We know that none of us are not many of us are medical experts, myself included, but cold water has a very unique effect on a body of slowing things down. We've heard of miraculous stories of survival, of people being in water for an extended period of time because of what that ice cold water can do to a body to slow down some processes. So we're really sort of holding out hope here in this situation for this 16-year-old. I did want to show that other body of water that I found as we were looking for some other maps. Here is Fox Lake. Now, the fact that this is being called Fox Lake, and we were told that this was a rescue from a pond, I doubt that that is involved. You see what looks like another quarry, another body of water over here. So the area does have quite a few of these small bodies of water. It looks like there might even be another sort of pond water area here. So we're just going to have to wait. So we've got our first live pictures out of the area. And again, this is going to show you just how rural this is. And I believe this is, in fact, looks like rescue crews. Obviously, this happened at 10:40. We don't see a lot in the way of activity there. This is a live picture. And I'm going to go back to my map just as we're watching this live picture. I want to see if this matches up with that pond across the street that we were looking at, just based on that home. So we see some water there, we see those bushes, and then a home in the background. Let's check this out, and in fact I think we can almost replicate that shot. Yeah, and in fact we can. So here is the map that we've been using. This is the pond that's across the street. I want you to notice those 4 or 5 hedges in the picture, and then here is our live picture. And in fact, I'm going to zoom in. I can almost replicate that picture exactly. Here is what's on Google Maps, and here is our live picture. So it is, in fact, if this is the area that they were focused on, we can see the pond there. I'm not sure if that's broken ice there in the middle, but again, what we've been told is that this was an ice skating incident where a child, 16-year-old teenager, fell through the ice and had to have been under the ice for a considerable period of time because it took time for rescuers to get to this rural property and for them to get a dive team suited up and ready and then into the water to make that rescue. We'll see if we can get our photographer that's on scene there to perhaps see if we can see where there might be broken ice. You can kind of see some water sitting on top of that one patch. That definitely looks like if there was an ice rescue, if a dive team had to go into the water, that looks like the ice may be broken up enough there in the middle that they would be able to get into. And again, I'm going to show you a picture just from Google Earth that matches what we're looking at. You can see the size of this pond. It is, it's not huge by any means, but for ice skating, it looked like it would have been a good size. Now, the big question is just how deep this pond is, because the deeper the water is, the longer it's going to take, and back live now, the longer it's going to take for that water to freeze solid to where you could do something like ice skating. It definitely hasn't been warm enough, today, yesterday, to add anything in the thawing process. That is for sure. But it just appears that may not have been frozen over solid. We've only had sub-freezing temperatures for about the last week or so, but that's what we're dealing with. We're going to work through this situation. When we find out more about the 16-year-old's condition, we will push out more information. But again, an ice rescue, a 16-year-old who was ice skating in rural Wayne County, went under the ice, had been there for what had to have been an extended period of time before dive teams could get into that pond and make the rescue. CPR done all the way to the hospital, taken to Altman Hospital in Orville, and we do not know the condition of that 16-year-old at this point. When we find out, we'll let you know. If we have any other breaking news, it'll be here on our digital platforms. Until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News. Have a good afternoon.